Welcome to this week's Rogers McHugh YouTube video. So in this week's episode we're going to be looking at 5 reasons that can hold your desk back as a recruiter. Let's go! Welcome to this week's Rogers McHugh YouTube video. So in this week's episode we're going to look at 5 things and 5 reasons that your desk can be held back as a recruiter. Now if you're not in recruitment, if you're in sales or if you're in a different business, I think these 5 sort of elements and reasons why you might not be as successful as you want to be in your given career cross sectors, to be quite honest. So I'll run through them and give you a little bit of a reason as to why I think that's the case. But the first one is that people aren't structured. So they don't set time in their diary to do certain tasks, and what they find is that they will start doing a task and very quickly they'll get distracted from that and then not pick it back up again. So I'll give you an example of that. If you need to do new sales, if you're trying to win new business and you don't set time aside for it, but roughly you do it, if we historically look at recruitment, sort of 10 till 12 is when people would tend to do new business and business development. What will happen is you'll start doing it at 10 o'clock. At 5 past 10, a candidate will ring you up and you'll speak to them for 10 minutes. At 25 past 10, you'll get somebody text you their right to work documents, so you'll start uploading them onto the system. And quite quickly, you'll while away that 2 hours without actually having done any of the task that you wanted to do in terms of the new business, because you're not structured. What I would do is I would set time aside in my diary, block my diary out and say, right, those 2 hours, that's all I'm doing. If candidates ring, I'll ring them back. If they send any documents through, I'll put them on the system at a different time, when of scheduled time for either candidate work or admin work. But it's got to be blocked out in your diary, and I do the same with these YouTube videos. I will block out time in my diary and I will say, right, between 9 and 10 I'm recording some content for YouTube. That's it. Nobody disturbs me. I don't book any meetings in that time, and that's in my diary. If I've got phone calls to make, I block it out in my diary so that I know that I've got to make those phone calls at that time. If I've got meetings, obviously they're in my diary anyway, but everything's diarised. It's structured, and it means that everything gets done and I'm not distracted by other things at the time. The second thing is that I don't think enough emphasis is put onto consultants to understand their, now what I mean by that is their KPIs and the targets that you're setting them. So in all reality, if you go back 20 years in recruitment, it was you've got to do 200 dials, you've got to do 2 hours on the phone in terms of speaking to people, and they were kind of the archaic KPIs that existed within recruitment. And all that did, certainly from what I saw at the start of my recruitment journey, is that it got people focusing on the wrong tasks. So instead of looking at, right, who can I go and win business off, it was who can I ring that's going to stay on the phone and talk to me for a long time so that I can hit my KPIs. And it's channeling people's efforts into the wrong area. KPIs need to be measured and they need to be run through with the consultants, and everybody needs to be in agreement. But it needs to be done in a way that they understand it, and it's got to all link together. So what's their revenue target for the month? And how does that break down in terms of average fee placement? So how many placements do they need in a month? And looking at their historical data, how many interviews do they need for a placement? And how many jobs do they need to get interviews? And how many sales calls do they need to get a job? And it all filters through from the end goal, which is, let's make sure that the revenue's right. You earn what you want to earn as a consultant, we earn what we want as a business, and everybody's happy. And if you sit down with them and if you say, right, your target this month is 10k and your average placement fee is 5k, so you need 2 placements this month. Right, in order to get a placement, you need, historically, you need 3 interviews. And to get 3 interviews, you need 3 jobs, because you tend to, that tends to be how it works. And to get a job in, you need to do 10 sales calls, historically. So for every 10 sales calls that you do, you get a job in. So you can work that back. 2 placements need 6 interviews. For every interview, you need 3 jobs. So you need 18 jobs. And for every sales call, for every 10 sales calls, you get a job. So you need to do this month 180 sales calls. If you do that, you'll get 18 jobs. If you do that, you'll get 6 interviews, which will then result in your 2 placements, which will then feed into that. And if you sit down with them and go through that, they understand it, they buy into it, and they know that if they look after the input, then the output looks after itself. But they understand why they're the KPIs. They understand they can use it and they can move forward. Number 3, people get distracted too easily. The best consultants that I've ever worked with, when they're doing a task, they stay focused. Yes, I advocate whistle while you work and advocate people to enjoy working where they work. But what you'll find is the people that aren't focused are the ones that don't perform. They're the ones that's desk are held back. They're the ones that the minute a conversation starts about what happened in Coronation Street last night, they're on it and they're talking about that. And then 5 minutes later, when the discussion comes up about where's everybody going for lunch, they're jumping on that and they'll get involved in every conversation. They'll find ways to be distracted. For me, I have no issues with the conversation about what was on TV last night. I have no issues with the conversation about what people are doing for lunch. It's got to be done in a manner where it's not distracting everybody and it's not used as a tool in which to distract people. Sales start, they don't like doing sales, they're the first ones up to go and make a brew. I'll just do sales right after I've made myself a cup of tea, organise my desk, put all my pens in colour-coded order, and then I'm ready to do my sales. They like to distract themselves. The people that stay focused on the task in hand, and it comes back a little bit to not being structured, and also the next point as well, they're the ones that make the most money, they're the ones that do the highest billings, and they're the ones that are most successful. Don't push themselves out of the comfort zone, number 4. So this is massively important because for me, in order to build a desk in recruitment, you've got to have a multi-pronged attack these days. It's not sufficient just to pick up the phone and speak to candidates and clients. It's got to be a whole encompassing task. You've got to be prepared to pick up the phone and do sales. You've got to prepared to put yourself out there on social media, put content out there, add value to your network and to your market and to your sector, and build a network online. But also you've got to meet people face to face and build those relationships and harness those relationships. And what you tend to find is that some people don't mind doing 1 or 2 of those things, but they don't do all 3. And they don't want to push themselves out of the comfort zone. So for somebody that's not keen on doing the cold call sales, they might message people all day on LinkedIn and try and build the social brand, and they might even be happy enough to go and meet clients face to face. They don't pick up the phone and do the cold calling. On the flip side of that, if you've got people that don't know what to put on the social platforms, particularly on LinkedIn, they don't know what to post, they don't know how they can add value, they might do the calls, they might go on client meetings, but they're not then building the brand online. And that's a massive thing in today's society. We're getting clients now coming to us saying, I've seen you on LinkedIn, we want to work with you because we like the cut of your jib, we like what you're about, we like what you stand for. We would never have got those opportunities. Some of those are clients that aren't even on our database, and they're coming to us. We're pulling leads towards us, we're pulling opportunities because of the outreach that we're doing on LinkedIn, because of the value add that we're doing on LinkedIn, because of the branding that we're doing on LinkedIn. And they weren't even on our CRM, so we'd never have worked with that client if it wasn't for LinkedIn. So it's a 3-pronged attack, and you've got to push yourself out your comfort zone. I did not like doing these videos when I first started. If you go back and watch the first couple, they're horrendous. And they took me many takes. I now managed to sort of get it in 1 take with only the odd little slip. It took me forever. I'd be stopping and starting. It was horrendous. Go back and have a look if you can bear to. But I pushed myself out the comfort zone. I practiced, I got better, and now we're doing it on a weekly basis and we're consistent with it as well. And the last one, they don't have goals. Recruitment is a tough job. It's up and down. It's one of the only jobs where you fail more than you succeed. And mentally it can be really challenging because you're constantly getting knockbacks all the time. Either you're speaking to clients that won't take your candidates, or you're speaking to candidates that won't take your jobs, but the constant negativity, constant people letting you down. And if you've got goals, that keeps you focused. It keeps you motivated. It keeps you focused on where you're trying to get to, whether that be a revenue target, whether that be a holiday that you want to go on, whether that be a house that you want to buy, whether that be a car that you want to buy. It keeps you motivated to doing the tasks and pushing yourself out your comfort zone and taking the knockbacks and getting up and dusting yourself off and going again. If you don't have goals, that can be challenging because you've had a really bad day. What am I doing this for? I'll go and make a brew, I'll go and have a chat with my colleague, I'll do anything other than make that difficult call again because I've had knockback after knockback after knockback. I don't know what I'm doing it for and I just give up. I can't do it any longer today. I'll switch off, I'll do no work for the rest of the day and I'll go again tomorrow. If people have got goals, they brush themselves off, they go again, they get themselves up and they push on. Yes, they might be negged out, they might be a little bit disappointed. Invariably they'll go and seek positive reinforcement. So they'll go and speak to people that they know are going to say, come on, you can do it, let's focus, let's go again, let's hit your goals. But ultimately they will get themselves up and they'll go again. So, hope you enjoyed that. 5 reasons why I think your desk could be struggling, and how, obviously we've been through, how you might change that if it is struggling, how you can turn it round and implement some of these things to make sure that you move your desk forward. Like I say, it does cross sectors though, so if you're not in recruitment, still a very much worth a watch and worth taking on board. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I'd be interested to know your thoughts, so feel free to put them in the comments. And most importantly, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow the subscriber base. The YouTube algorithms, see, I told you there was only the odd slip up. The YouTube algorithms love subscribers, and the more we get, the more they'll get pushed out the videos to other people, and that's what we're looking for over the next 12 months because we really want to level up the content that we're putting out there. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back next week.